So, hello, Carol. Thank you for coming on and happy birthday.
Well, thank you for that. Yeah, it was a happy birthday. My brother took me out to dinner, Black Angus, got lots of steak and potatoes loaded with sour cream and bacon and
Yeah,
love it.
yeah, nice. And you shared that you were 85 yesterday. Yeah,
Yes, yep, that's
and
right.
you're looking really healthy. So, I would love for you to share with us, Carol, what's the secret?
Well, number one, I think it's genes because most of the people in my family also look younger than they really are. And the other thing is I've been into natural health care since I was 18.
Okay.
And so I don't use a lot of doctors and hospitals unless, well, I did have an appendicitis once and I did have to use a hospital and a doctor for that. And they require that you have a yearly checkup, so I do that. But for flus and headaches and aches and pains, I go natural with with herbs and vitamins. But our family in Oklahoma, they foraged for these herbs and flowers and roots for the doctors that rode horseback through the hills and supplied them with those goodies so that they could be the healers.
Yeah, yeah. It's as you say, it's in your genes. And yeah, but you also look after yourself. I know you do. You keep yourself busy. Okay.
Yeah, during flu season, I've got vitamin C going on and echinacea, golden seal. So yeah.
And then you keep your brain busy and active.
Well, I'm constantly learning new things. Yes, like I'm trying to learn now how to use handbrake to change a video. So yeah.
Oh, well, I wouldn't know what that was. So it's like, however, you do because you actually, as we know, we train together. You're a Nightingale dementia consultant, Carol, and you help other people. You run some groups, and
Yes,
how's
I'm a
it going?
volunteer support facilitator for people with dementia, actually, and their caregivers. We meet for 15, 20 minutes together in a big room, and we share some fun stuff and talk about daily things. And then we separate into two groups. And the caregivers go with my co-facilitator into another room, and I stay in the room that we are with the people with dementia. And we have different kinds of dementia. We've got mild cognitive impairment, we've got PCA, we've got frontal temporal, and these are all early stage because there at some point they wouldn't be able to be in a group communicating.
Yeah, yeah, fair enough. And uh, what are the sorts of things that you do with them? Hear from them? What do you do?
Well, a lot of them want to know what the hell's happening to them. And so we give them education. We tell them that they're in the early stage and these are the things they're experiencing and why they're experiencing them. And they really want to know. It's not like their brain is gone already later, but not now. They can still think very clearly and speak very lucidly about what's going on. And they love hearing that.
Yeah, yeah, that it's so they can be more present in their here and now and enjoy their day to day instead of living in the fear.
Right.
Yeah.
And some of them I can tell have made peace with what's going on, and they make a lot of jokes and talk a lot. And there are some that are a little scared yet, and I have to kind of draw them out to talk. Um, and one of the ways I do that is to ask them about something I know they're going to know, so there's no failure, something about the early days, because they
Mm.
can remember the early days. They may not remember last week, but they can remember the early days. So we talk about your first car or your first pet.
Yeah. Yeah. Or first job or boyfriend or
Oh yeah, jobs and boyfriends, yeah, and girlfriends, yeah.
girlfriends.
So it's a good time when we get to that part of the sharing. And then there's also a part of the sharing where they get to talk about whatever they want to talk about. So, and sometimes they talk about things that have happened to them in the day. Like one lady said that she fell down the stairs and her husband told her, "We don't have any stairs." Well, she has Lewy body, so she saw stairs.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. And how did he sort of like validate that for her? You know, because as you say, she saw stairs.
Yeah,
They
she
couldn't
realized then
an
it was a,
argument. Yeah.
yeah, she realized that it was a hallucination, and she was just, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So she can still do that. Later, she couldn't, and I was still with the group when she had to leave the group because she couldn't function in a group environment.
Okay, that's sad.
That is sad,
Yeah.
and that happens. So
Yeah. And how do you recognize that, Carol? At what stage do they just know that they have to move somewhere else, or
actually, my cohort, my co-facilitator is the head of the program. And so she and the caregivers would be talking about that.
okay, so it's not so yeah,
Yeah.
okay. And then it's so yeah, I can only imagine it's almost as you say, even what you're doing, it's like going to be a roller coaster of emotions
Right.
as people are coming.
And you get bonded with them and you love them and you have fun with them, and then they slowly disappear
Yeah,
emotionally and functionally. And then one day I'm told that they can't come back, that they're not coming back.
yeah, yeah. And it is, it's the long goodbye, isn't it?
It is very much, yeah.
Yeah. And I wonder what that's like for the other people in the group as well. Or do they forget that they were there?
Well, some of them have forgotten that they've been diagnosed. One of them keeps saying, how can I get a diagnosis for this? Well, she forgot that she's got a diagnosis. And so
Yeah.
we just answer her. We say, well, this is what you have to do. You have to talk to your doctor and, and be tested and, you know, oh dear, I'm sorry.
That's all right. I can't hear anything.
Cut that out.
Yeah. Can't hear
Okay. Or whoever does that for you.
it. It won't matter. I just carry on regardless. People get the unedited versions.
Oh no, that's okay. I'm trying to learn how to do everything myself so that I can turn it over to somebody and trust them, because that's how I work.
Yeah.
That's
No.
just the engineer brain going.
Okay. Yeah, no, I just don't mind. It's like, it gives people a chance to realize that things don't have to be perfect, which the world isn't perfect.
No.
And things happen. And just like when we're living with people living with dementia, nothing's going to be perfect.
No, and we had one evident event of non-perfect facilitating. Because I noticed that from time to time, people get up and they go to the bathroom and they can come back. They're still pretty functional, lots of different ways. And this fellow got up and left and didn't come back. And we finally noticed he didn't come back, and he wasn't in the building anywhere. So we sent out a silver alert, and the police found him, brought him back. He was walking to Portland from Vancouver, Washington, across the river. He was going home.
Okay.
You did not remember that he was in a meeting and that he should stay there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Wow.
I should have paid more attention to how long he was gone.
Yeah. So like you
So,
say, that was a learning,
yeah, it's a
and,
learning.
and it will never happen again.
No, it won't.
Yeah. But he wasn't wandering, was he? He was walking with purpose.
Well, definitely walking with purpose. He was going home.
He was going home. Yeah. So in interesting, isn't it? So we just get curious all the time. So how many people have you got in the group? I think this is wonderful work that you're
Oh,
doing.
we've had a couple of groups. I had a group in Sun Lakes, Arizona, and that group was 10.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a group in Kaiser here in Vancouver. But that was just a caregiver group, and that was like 20.
Yeah.
And then COVID hit. Then we went virtual.
At least you went virtual
Yeah,
for the care partners as
right.
well. It's quite a nice word.
And then I've had two groups here with Hope Dementia Support, which is a program of CDM senior care. And the first group, I think we had 12. The second group, which we just finished, we had 8. And the group that we're getting starting in September will be 7, I think.
Okay, yeah. And that's and then people don't feel so overwhelmed either, do they? If there's like too many, and everybody has a chance to be heard.
Right.
And
It's harder, I think, for the caregiver group because they've got so much to share about what's going on and what hurts and what feels bad and what can they do. And I've actually heard sometimes that one person just gets so involved that they don't even realize that other people need to share too. And so
oh, you will
that's a bit
all.
of work. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I went to one once. I was invited to a family that I work with, and she leads a group because of me working with them, and she shares some stuff with this group. And she's come back. She goes, "Oh, there's just one woman. She just takes over. She just talks about herself, and it's just like, and it's and it's sometimes not even anything to do with what we're there for." um and yeah, it's, and she's managed to rein her back in, but it's like it's
But it
hard.
is work to rein them back in kindly
Kindly,
and
yeah.
respectfully. Yes.
Mhm, mhm. And I suggested she did it on the quiet, not in front of everybody. Yeah. It's and just to remind that everybody is there for their stuff, and that's all. And if she needs to vent, then can she, do it another, and on an get in touch with her on her own, that sort of thing.
Uh-huh.
But
Right.
sometimes you're right, people are lonely, and it's the only time they get.
We had one like that in our group of people with memory loss. And she was being moved from her home to a facilitator, to to a facility. And she went on and on and on. And I knew that I had to have her distracted.
Mm-hmm.
And so I looked at her and I said, Louise, you have the most beautiful smile. And she stopped thinking and talking about what she was and grinned and turned to me. And I said, so what did you do to get that beautiful smile? Did you have some fun yesterday? Is that why you're smiling today? You know,
So what you did was you did a pattern interrupt.
right. Pattern
And
interrupt. Totally.
mhm. And that's it's so important for us to learn how to do those things and invite and share that with each other of how to do that. So I was talking about that just in a couple of weeks ago in from these recordings, and how, so so what you did from her story, you invited her to think about herself and a happy thing, her smile.
Right.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah. And we're asking people to smile or talk about their smile is a really good pattern interrupt.
Yeah, no, it's lovely. And I bet that led to, I mean, did she carry on talking though then about her smile?
No, because then I said, well, let's hear from George and hear what's been going on with him. And she said, okay.
Oh, I see. Right. Okay. Then you said, and now let's, yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Well
You,
played.
you,
I'd
you
give
have
you
to be
high
have to be
five.
flexible.
Yeah.
Flexibility is you really have to when you're helping those people have a day.
Or you had a good one in your back pocket. It's just like, when this happens, this is what I'll do. So as you say, so that they don't go, because I can only imagine what happens is that if it's just one person talking all the time, the others lose themselves.
I'm sorry about the background noise. My lawn guy
Can't
is
hear
here
any.
today.
Can't hear any background
Oh,
noise.
wonderful, really. And I
Mhm.
don't know if I mentioned it last time, but one of the caregivers in my son Lake's group had a special way of distracting his wife. if she was going on or doing something that she needed to be distracted from. He'd say, you know, I have an idea. Let's have some ice cream. And immediately she's on to the ice cream. And so he keeps little things of ice cream in the freezer all the time so that he can use that.
Oh, really little ones.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah. Good idea. Yeah. Because it's just enough. It's just a taste.
Yeah.
Yeah. And good idea. Because it's like just leading it on to something nicer and kinder instead of yeah, because we have to lighten things up for people. So what are some other tools that you might use with people, Carol, or that you might share with your people living with dementia?
Well, one of the things that we do is talk, as I said before, reminisce, talk about times in the past. When we're talking about what's happening now, then we address them honestly and kindly and respectfully. And so whenever that lady wants to know how she can get a diagnosis, that's what we do. We tell her how to do that. The other day for fun, this lady's dog had sat on her feet and she stumbled and broke her shoulder. Now that's not fun. But when
Right.
she got her shoulder fixed and she was in the sling, she called a sling George. So we talked to George. And she knew she was making a joke with her sling being George.
Right. And who
So
was
that's just an
George?
example of people that are early stage are really very able to talk about what's going on with them in the moment. It very, and some of them have good memories from last week and yesterday and last month, and some of them can't remember yesterday. So it's a varied group of people.
Yeah. Yeah. And do people get frustrated with that?
There was one fellow who his thought pattern got stuck on, I've got to know everything, I've got to know everything. And he started accumulating articles and he'd bring in this folder this thick with articles in it. And so we just validated that it was good for him to know that, and we had some more today for him. So,
Okay. Yeah.
so important to validate, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. And for all of us.
Well, yeah, all of us for sure.
Yeah.
That's a human thing, isn't it?
I believe so. So I'm just wondering if sometimes, they're there and if any of them say they feel ignored or they're not being, because sometimes they can start to be a little bit naughty, if you like, and tell stories, so that people there will feel sorry for them. I know I had one client who was doing that, and she was telling awful things about, some of the family members, and it wasn't true. So I wonder if you get any of that.
Well, I don't know how we've been so lucky, but no, we haven't.
Okay, yeah, because
The people in the groups have been very sociable as much as they can, and some of them very sociable because they can. And
and maybe the people who go for groups are sociable, and so they are like that
yeah,
because they get
so they're
get
reflecting how they're
territory.
treated. Yeah, they're reflecting how they're treated when they're not in a group, but at home rather.
Yeah, so interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
It can reflect how they're treated. Yeah. It's because some people do get very irritated living with their loved ones if they're constantly asking the same question.
Well, that's part of the education we do in the other group.
Mm-hmm.
So when somebody says that, then we have an answer for them.
Yeah.
And every time that group meets, they have an article or a piece of education that's current. And then they also address current issues that they have with their person daily and weekly and stuff.
And do you get that people asking the same question in the group, within the group?
No, except for the lady that wants a diagnosis. And
Yeah.
she only goes after it maybe 2 or 3 times during the 2 hours we're together, or hour and a half that we're together.
Yeah. Yeah. How do I find out what's wrong with me? And then you tell her again and again. Yeah. And I suppose the beauty of it is that sometimes some of the others might have forgotten that as well, that you've even said it.
Yeah. There's one fellow that has a really difficult dementia. He has post-cortical atrophy. And I think I might have mentioned it last time, but he found out that he had a brain problem when he was driving down the road and the road in front of him disappeared. The
Oh,
car in front of him disappeared. His his eye, he was tested and his eyes see perfectly, but his brain lies to him about what he's seeing.
wow.
Yeah. And there's a specialty doctor in, I think it's Denver, Colorado, but in Colorado anyway, that they see. And in our meetings, we often have stuff to read and we hand it around. Everybody gets to read a paragraph. He can't read. I mean, his eyes can see the words, but his brain tells him that that's not what's there. So,
Wow. Wow.
and
That,
he's just got the sweetest temperament, and he's always got a smile.
I mean, does that happen for his food?
I haven't asked him about that.
Or even, as you say, just relaxing and watching a movie or anything like that.
I haven't asked him about that.
Yeah, that's
His wife is in the other group, and I know that they talk about that, but I don't always hear what they're talking about
no,
later.
because it would be interesting. I mean, it's like, to get dressed, he knows it's like if he can it, I mean, that must be so scary.
He's got a wonderful wife, and he trusts her, and he loves her, and she loves him, and they do really well together.
Yeah, yeah. And
He
it's just
has he
learning.
she took him to the beach the other day where he used to live, and got to hang out with his old friends. And when he talked a little bit about, because he can talk when he's got something already to say. When you ask him a question, that takes longer, and sometimes he can't find the words. But often he has something he wants to say, and it comes out easily.
Yeah, yeah. It's gosh, I mean, there's so many different types because there's 100 different types of
Yeah,
dementia, isn't
right.
there? So it's like and every single one is different anyway.
Yeah, because they're different people.
Yeah, so we could say there's hundreds of thousands of different types of dementia because it's almost like, well, how do you do your dementia? And it's just like the same with anything. It's your hypnosis. When you go into hypnosis, it's yours. It's not anybody else's, you know.
And that's interesting too, because one of the fellows who's no longer on the earth plane in one of the groups was a high-level financial advisor and had been in the Navy, and really, in fact, he had called me to ask if there was a support group he could join early in his stage. And one time we were talking about how upset we get. And I said, well, sometimes I can just talk myself out of being upset by thinking of something else. And he said, oh, hypnosis? He said, I used to do hypnosis. So that was interesting. And then later, when he was being asked to speak at a gathering, he was talking about how hard it was for him to calm himself down. And I said, well, remember, hypnosis, calm yourself down. So,
Yeah, yeah. And did he?
yes, he did.
Yeah.
And that was a big citywide fundraising group for Hope Dementia Support. And he was on stage, yeah,
Wow.
just showing that people with dementia are not slobbering fools, but
Yes,
intelligent, functioning people.
that you can live well with dementia. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, do any of your group I'm just curious as to what other tools you might give them for strategies for maybe, I don't know, finding stuff. I mean, actually, we can all we can all misplace things. I do. I have safe places where I've put something and not forgotten. but generally day to day, do you give them strategies, or if they get angry or frustrated with themselves, what do you do, Carol?
Well, unfortunately or fortunately, we really haven't had that in that group. And I'm sure that that happens at home, and I know the caregivers in the other group are getting instructions and ideas, tips and strategies.
Yeah, of how to
Yeah,
help them with anger. Um,
yeah,
Again, a lot of it, as you've already said, is distraction.
right.
Validate them, and and then try not to argue with them, or do not argue with them.
And sometimes you just have to leave the room.
Mm.
I know one lady talked about, and this is a caregiver group I was with, talked about she couldn't distract him. She couldn't think of anything, and he was getting more and more argumentative. And she said, I'll be back in a minute, and left. And when she came back, what was it, half an hour later, he'd forgotten all about what he was going on about.
Yeah, yeah. And it's and that, yeah, I have that with a couple, and he can be very, very mean to her. And it's sad because, as much as I say to her all the time, it's not him, it's the dementia. And that's what we have to say to our caregivers, care partners, that's not them. It is the disease. And it's like, but they can take it so personally.
Yeah, really. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
and
This
then
is this is someone they've lived with, been married to for years and years and years, and it's hard for those kinds of words to come out of that well-known face and body to be so evil, to be so mean.
yeah, and then still have to cook for them and still have to do stuff. And then it's
Right.
like, whereas, you know, if that had happened like 20 years ago or 30 years ago, they wouldn't have stayed with them. And now and now they have to
Yeah,
and now they
right.
have to listen to it. And it's hurtful. And then they have to sleep next to it, so we're talking about that energy, and they're building up with sadness and resentment. So for the care partner, it is not an easy journey,
No.
by any means. And they really do need as much support and as you say, validation. And that's why setting up support groups are so good. So can you give some tips on how you actually went about doing that, Carol?
Doing which?
The setting up a support group, how did you do that? How do you market what you do?
Oh, I don't market what I do. This is the job of Hope Dementia Support Company. Uh, and so they advertise in the newspaper. We have probably 7 different groups around the area.
So
It's
so what it's about is like finding somewhere that already does groups then.
Well, the groups are advertised, as I say, in the newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
And the newspaper has a section called events around the valley, around the area. And if anyone is checking for things to do and they run into that, that's one thing. The other thing is we do put information out on YouTube and on Facebook. And so we're advertising a fundraising event on Facebook, and we're advertising a new group starting up on Facebook.
Yeah, yeah.
And then all of our, we have monthly education bits for the caregivers, which are videos of some expert talking about their expertise as it relates to dementia. The last one was on anticipatory grieving. And
Yeah.
so that video will be up on YouTube in a couple of days, where people who missed it or just want to see it again can go look at it.
Oh, that's helpful. That's another YouTube channel. It's another resource for the
Yes.
Lighthouse Brain Health Associates. Please, could you share that in the group, on the Facebook, or send me the link and I'll put it
Oh,
in.
sure. By the group, see, I'm thinking group, which group is she talking about?
Yeah, the one that you're going to be on
Okay.
with this video. So
Yes.
it's because there's all the more the more. I mean, do you ever follow Teepa Snow?
I don't follow Tipa when she's got something that I happen to see. I do check on it because she's very good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, she lives in my state, and she's done. I know she's funny. She's trained a few people that I know who I can collaborate with,
Yeah.
and they go in and support care partners. So it's but it's as I say, I mean, they don't do hypnosis. Do you use the hypnosis in the group?
No, I'm not allowed to use hypnosis in the group.
uh, and that's because it's in the
I
paper.
can't call it that, but I can certainly have guided relaxation.
Do you do guided
I
relaxation
do
or
guided
meditation?
relaxation. Yes, I do.
I can't say I do hypnosis either because I'm in the state of North Carolina. So it's yeah, you have to be very careful. But I might do mindfulness, or
Well,
and
we talked about mindfulness once in our um in our memory loss group. Yeah.
yeah.
And one of them remembered the whole system and I'd forgotten almost of it. So she helped me remember.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, we can all do our own versions of it, but it's very just brings everybody back to just being. And
Yeah.
I give recordings of that to my clients so that they can, if there's something, just listen, or they use me to blame me, of course, Claudia says, da 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 da. And so now we've got to do that, so that's for the care partner. Well, Claudia says, well, if this happens, then we've got to do this. I go,
Oh,
just
that's a good idea. Yeah, blame
yeah,
you. Uh-huh.
yeah, just blame me. I don't mind because they'll forget anyway,
Well, sometimes, yeah, sometimes an expert from the outside is listened to more
than you are, than the care partner.
than the
Well, of
partner.
course,
Well, it
always.
happens in business too. People in the business know how to fix it, but they're hiring an expert to come in and tell them what they already knew.
Well, exactly. I mean, I get that all that, it's like you can't teach your own child to sort of like swim, but they go for swimming lessons because they're going to listen to that's why they go to school. It's much easier than because like what does mum know,
Yeah, right.
And so again, of course, well, what does your wife know or your husband know? So just blame it. So I use that a lot actually. Um, blame it on me. Oh well, Claudia says now it's time for this. Da 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 da. And
And the
then
doctor says you can't drive anymore.
yeah, absolutely.
That's
And
a big one.
yeah, huge, huge. The
Because
doctor
giving
said,
up that control is hard for any human being when they're used to being in control.
yeah, and it's time. Yeah. I mean, sometimes they do come to it themselves when they realize that they're so dangerous. Like I suppose that gentleman did when he couldn't see the car in front of him. It's but yeah, there's we've all heard the stories of like massive arguments because of that. um and going off in cars, and then literally I'm going to go, and then it's like driving off anyway, and then getting lost the other side of the country, run out of gas, don't know where they are, don't know what they're doing.
And
uh
that's exactly what happened to a friend of mine in Phoenix.
did it?
Her husband, she thought he was early stage, but he went off to an appointment. He didn't get to the appointment. He didn't come home. What happened is he kept looking for road things that he recognized, like what this tree, this house, this building, and he kept looking for something he recognized, and he couldn't see anything he recognized, and he kept driving and driving and driving. And I know you've been to Arizona. He ended up on the Mogollon Rim on a dirt road out of gas.
Oh my
And it
god.
was just lucky that some campers up there were moseying around and found him. Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's rattlesnakes, scorpions,
Yeah.
anybody.
Yeah.
He could have been, yeah, yeah,
She took his keys away.
yeah,
That was the end of that.
yeah.
Sometimes when you take the keys away, they still want to drive. You may have because the car is still out there, and that's a trigger. So some people have actually sold the car or given it to a family member and say it's in the garage, it's being fixed. It's in the, you know,
Yeah, yeah,
auto
that's
shop.
it's in the auto shop. Yeah, and then where is the car? It's in the auto shop, and then it's like, as you say, until eventually they just stop asking.
Right.
And it's a kinder way to do it. So yeah, it's not very good. Are any of them, have you noticed? I mean, are you there to notice as well if they're sort of like uh dropping weight off, not eating as much?
We discussed that the other day because I'm also not eating as much now that I'm older.
Mm.
And so that we didn't notice any particular huge weight losses, but we did discuss it.
Yeah. So where did that lead you to? Because that's a strategy to help people to beat, because they've got to get the nutrition in. It's all very well sort of like you're not eating as much, but then what are you eating? Because is it those little pots of ice cream, or is it some blueberries and a bit of cheese here and there, and getting your calcium in, and or eggs? What is it? What do you do? What do you do?
Well, one of the things about the group that I have is they're all married and their caregiver is taking care of all of that. In addition, we know that, but we also give them on our education section with the people with memory loss, that same kind of information about how important nutrition is and to eat different colored fruits and
Mm,
vegetables and love avocados, you need the good fats and things like that. So we really rely on the caregivers to take care of that. But in our group, we also remind them or let them know or advise them to do those same kinds of things. But we can't rely on them making those decisions themselves when they
no,
go home.
no, no.
And we know that. And some of them can. Some of them definitely can, but some of them can't.
Mm. And then what about any of the brain health coaching exercises? Do you go around the room doing any of those with them at all?
Have we done any of those? I did in my son Lake's group. We had like two teams and I'd mention a state or a country and ask for the capital. And then, we'd get the team would mark up for the teams who won and stuff like that. And then some people would start answering for the other team. And finally we just stopped keeping tracking and just went on and having fun remembering states and capitals and countries.
Yeah, because you're like, I mean, that's like kids anyway. You go, oh, I know the answer I want to say.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
that's good. And then music. I mean, is there any music involved in the group?
Let's see, how do I approach this? The corporation, Dementia Hope Support, has resources in the city. And we have music for memory. And it's a certain date and time and place. And we have Meet Me at the Wildlife Reserve, certain date, time and place. Meet Me at the movies, same thing. Meet me at Dripping Color, where it's art group. And so there are all kinds of activities around the city that we have created from volunteers in the city wanting to help with this process of helping people live well with dementia.
Wow.
And so the city of Vancouver is really very supportive, and the businesses in Vancouver are very supportive.
Wow. That's amazing. So there's something, and it's and then and you say you do fundraising for these
Right.
things because it's like an hour and a half out of a business's day. where they've got people, the care part, the caregivers and the people living with dementia turning up. So there might be like 20 people and they're giving over their business to that.
Actually, there is a company, a cafe called Cameo Cafe, and we have one of the days of the month there we can all meet their care partners and their people and have lunch.
Nice.
And the cafe and the servers are all very great at helping people with dementia. I think we did a training there, but yeah.
I've done some training on some businesses, and it was lovely. It was like there was some, because of course we know that people living with dementia, you wouldn't take them to somewhere that's very shadowy, and it's like a simple menu is helpful. Just a couple of choices, it's like
Pictures,
always that set menu is really easy for people.
right.
And that or that, great.
Two choices is better than going to Cheesecake Factory.
Yeah, because that's like,
I'm overwhelmed there.
yeah, and most people are. It's like, it's just like, oh, can't you just give me, just a few to choose from? But yeah, it's
Yeah.
like you sat there for hours, trying to think what you want, and then afterwards you think, well, I didn't want that, I wanted that one.
Oh,
So
are you familiar with a group called Dementia Minds?
I'm not.
It's
I'm
out of Canada,
okay.
and they've got a group of people that have dementia that created their own webinar, and they do them for education for the rest of us.
Mm,
We can watch them talk to themselves, among themselves, about what's going on.
yeah.
And we can also ask questions, and the facilitator then will ask a question. And there's one fellow there who's a psychologist who has memory loss.
Okay.
And one of his things is he can't taste anymore.
Oh,
And so he says, when people ask me what I want, it doesn't really matter because I can't taste anyway. So my question to him was, does mouth feel make a difference? And he said, oh, yeah. He said, I can't have lettuce. So mouth feel makes a difference sometimes when you can't taste.
yeah, yeah, because your tongue and your other senses will kick in.
Right.
Absolutely. So interesting, isn't it? It's a good
Yeah,
one.
I'll send you a link. I'll send you a link for Dementia Minds because they have monthly programs.
Okay, great.
And
It's
yeah,
just more resources for people. It depends on how much they always want to go delve into all of this,
right.
because it's up to them, because some people do want to, it means a lot, especially if something is happening in their own life, and it's like, well, we know that if we're living with somebody who has dementia, then you want to know more, give me all the stuff. What can I do?
Yeah.
Because of course it's affecting them too. So yeah, I just think it's really important, and as well because people come to us as hypnotists for XYZ, but then at some point that may be happening in their life, and if you know some things, then it's
Yeah.
helpful or can point them in the right direction. Then it's something else, because a lot of my clients I see, they're in the sort of like, say, maybe my age or a bit younger, and they've got parents who are going through just starting with memory loss, and then they've got and having to move them near to them, and then they've got children as well, so that's they're right in the middle.
Sandwiched.
They're
Yeah.
sandwiched, yeah, they are literally sandwiched, and they can't yeah, it's very hard. So it's just about giving them support as well. I mean, a lot of the people you see, they'll even be younger than you, Carol. You can get it at any age. It doesn't just mean that you get it when you're in your 80s.
Oh no.
It's like,
The man with PCA got it when he was like 45.
ah, yeah, yeah. And we know that children can get it. I've had two clients sadly die on me. They were each 58.
Oh my.
Yeah, alcoholic dementia.
Oh, yeah.
So,
That's a hard one. One of my caregivers for another group, his wife had that,
mm,
and she didn't remember how much she drank.
right.
So he would say, "Well, you've already had a glass of wine." She said, "No, I haven't."
Mm,
And 5 minutes later, after having drank that glass, there'd be another glass of wine there, and he'd say, "But you've had a glass of wine." And she said, "No, I didn't." And she really doesn't remember. She's not lying or being manipulative. She just doesn't remember.
no, no. And then goes in all the other things that goes with alcohol, fatty liver, renal failure, so many other things.
Yeah.
And and of course, urinary tract infections.
Oh, yeah. I
Um,
had no idea how crazy that could make a person. I had to go research that one.
mm, mm, so true. It's like, and if there's suddenly, if your caregiver suddenly says to you, oh, they've suddenly got really bad, then first thing, check for a urinary tract infection. First thing, because that will make any person bad anyway. And of course the dehydration bit, that was what we talked about last time with you, was your own story about dehydration.
Right.
And of course that can lead to urinary tract infections. But yeah, that will make somebody go strange. So sad. All these things, we have to look after ourselves.
The one thing we did talk about in very great detail was how important it is to move your body,
Mm.
to walk, to stretch.
So you
And
do that with, and do you do exercises with them there on the seat?
sometimes we do. We had a guy who actually was in our combined group. We had a guy who was an actual martial arts instructor. And so we asked him to give us some very simple things that we could do to stretch our body. And so he said we can do these stretches, the kind of things we do before we would do the real work. And so we all stood up, and he had us, walk in place, and had us bend to the side and turn around, and simple things, but definitely,
Yeah, and just swaying, it's
yeah.
like it's just all movement. And as you with any music, then it just again, because it puts some, it's a pattern interrupt.
And it's so important for your body and your mind to remember how to talk to each other.
Yeah,
Because if you don't let them talk to each other, they forget.
yeah, yeah, yeah. They do. And of course, if you're leading it, if somebody's leading it, then they copy you. So if
Right.
they've forgotten what their hand is meant to do next, they're copying you and you're doing it, it's like, oh, we all do it. If I said to you right now, touch your head, and if you go and touch your head, if you just copy like me, like a Simon says, touch your head, touch your forehead, eye. And then if I said touch your nose and I did that, you would probably go there because we're always copy, you know?
Well, that's a good idea for our group. Thank you. I hadn't thought about that. That would be a fun exercise.
Yeah, do as Simon says. Yeah.
Yeah.
I tell you
Oh,
what we used to like, and what's really good for hand control, maybe, is you could do pass the parcel.
I'm sorry, what?
Oh, and I don't know if you call that something different in America. Pass the parcel. So the parcel's wrapped up, you pass it to one
Oh,
person.
a real parcel.
Yeah,
A
they've got
real
to,
a
yeah, they've
real
got to
a real
unwrap
box.
it.
Okay.
You've got to unwrap it, and there might be a sweet, like a little something inside. I don't know, a sticker maybe. And then they pass it to the next person. They've got to unwrap it, and then they goes next to the person. Next person, they've got to unwrap all the things. But the fact that they are unwrapping, motor control, hand control,
Okay.
That's something we used to play with
Well, they
children.
may do it somewhere, but not in any of the cities I've lived in.
No, no, I just came up with it then that you could do that.
Oh,
It's like, because that's what you do with children to help their like little ones, to help them, sort of like 2 year olds, so for their motor skills.
helps having being a mom. I was not a mom.
So yes, because there's a lot of similar things from
Yeah,
learning to relearning, because
yes.
the whole idea is about regaining cognitive abilities, dementia.
Well, that's what I did when I came out of my coma. Um, because I had lost some of my vocabulary. So I got crossword puzzles and started doing crossword puzzles because I had to be able to recognize the question. I had to be able to think of an alternative that was the same, a similar word, and then I had to be able to fit that word in the spaces. And so that helped me get my vocabulary back and some thinking methods too. The other thing was that my speaking system had become mushy, not clear. And so I just started getting, because I have hundreds of books, I just started reading aloud. So
Okay.
that was exercising that whole speaking system, the breathing, and the visualization and the talking, um, and I got my ability to talk back.
Yeah.
And
And
then,
yeah, that's so that reminds me of another thing you could do, Carol, and as a game. If you're going to say we're going to play some games, okay, is that somebody starts a story. So I know you can't read a story because you've got your gentleman there who can't read, but and it'll be very funny. Once upon a time, a little I don't know, a little boy went to school on the bus, and he sat next to. Now the next person has to carry on with
well,
the.
like an improv.
Yes, and then the next person and the next person, and you would have some very funny.
That would be funny. And yeah, they could all do that. He could probably do it if like he was the last person. Maybe by then he would have something to say,
Yeah, yeah,
but
and
it would be hard for him to find words otherwise. Yeah.
yeah, but he would still be able to listen
Oh,
and
yeah.
see where the story went. The little boy could end up in the Himalayas for all we know.
And
Um,
he can certainly laugh. He's very good at laughing.
yeah, so it's and that's what it's all about, bringing back the humor
Yes.
into things. But that's also a good idea for anybody around the family table, of what can we do to involve grandma or granddad or just mum or
Mhm.
dad, because we don't know what age they've got this they're living with dementia, because humor is key.
Yeah.
Like
And this group seems to be very open to being happy and humorous. We don't have anybody in there that's a sourpuss. And that has to be probably due to their caregiver and the education they're getting in the other group.
yeah, 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 exactly. So you're all doing great work, and education, and being able to offload and know that you've got somewhere to go to, really helps.
Yes.
Because what happens, I can only imagine, is that people there, they know that they're not the only ones. It's not so lonely.
Yeah.
They're sharing it. There are other people who have similar lives, and it sucks and it's shit, but now what else can we do?
Right. And those groups are really great for newbies too, because the people that have been dealing with this dementia journey for a while can actually help them understand what's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody new? So do you always have a just a fixed amount of people, or could it grow, or what do you do?
It is limited by the space we have available to meet in.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So there's a group that has 23, it's in a church.
Yeah. And is that easy for you to get to?
I'm sorry, what?
Is it far from you? Can you, do you,
Oh, yeah, it is. Well, defined far. It's basically a 20-minute drive
okay,
in traffic, so it's not
that's
bad.
not so far. No, no,
No.
that's doable. It's not like an hour that you've got to get.
No. The one that I had when I first came here was with a mile and a half. And that was nice. But that group eventually dissolved, and I started going there and waiting for this is for caregivers, and no one would show up. And
Yeah.
so eventually we closed that down a couple of years ago, but it's starting up again.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And you never know, it could have just been because they sadly everybody just seemed to have died off, or it was just too difficult. You don't know.
Yeah.
No.
That was in a care facility,
Oh,
actually,
it was. Okay.
in
So
their meeting room.
possibly not, yeah. One never knows why. So some are more successful than others. You just don't know, or what. It's just a moment in time. Who
Right.
knows? But I love that you've been on here. Thank you, Carol. I really appreciate it. Appreciate your time and sharing with us, sharing that you're doing this, and I love it. It's keeping you out of mischief. So
Yeah.
take care. I'm going to stop the recording now. So thank you for watching, everybody.